I would be among the first to admit that we made mistakes in government. I will be among the first to admit that there was corruption within previous Antigua Labour Party administrations. But I have to admit that the corruption that exists today under the UPP regime makes corruption under the previous ALP administration child's play, my dear people.
I mean, this thing is explosive.
There will be no job losses under the Labour Party administration.
There may be trouble ahead, but while there's moonlight and music and love and romance,
I now turn to the water shortage that has plagued this country for some time. And I say to you tonight that leadership matters. I say to you tonight that the water shortage that our people have been experiencing is an issue that belongs to a different age. And I say too that we have made positive steps in order to resolve the water problem. And I guarantee you that within 14 days, there will be increased water supply in this country.
Let's face the music and dance.
A cornerstone of our general election campaign was the provision of affordable housing. Indeed, we promised 500 homes in 500 days. And we said to you that you would have gotten 500 homes in 500 days. Those with little or no vision said that it could not be done. Well, as your Prime Minister, I said to you that it can be done and that it shall be done.
Let's face the music and dance. Let's face the music and dance.
I mean, this thing is explosive.
This is True Labor Talks with your host, the executive of the Antigua-Barbuda True Labor Party.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, so good to be back with you again for another hour. This is the True Labor Party podcast, and we have some developments that I believe you're going to find very entertaining. In our political culture, there's so many things that are said and so many things that are done that are not recorded for posterity. But the advantage of the information age is that nearly everything the politicians say is recorded or noted down, or even the citizen journalist has it recorded somewhere. So there's very little what you say you cannot be held accountable at some point in time. Hint, hint. Mm-hmm. But we're going to start off our program today, as usual, talking about our campaign in St. John's Rural South. And we have started campaigning for the next general election in the True Labor Party. I'm here in studio with the co-host Lionel Nedwell, so I'll let him say his introductions, and then we'll move on to the campaign as far as it's going as of this week. Nedwell?
Yes, good afternoon to our listeners. And so good to be here again with you today. I look forward to being with you every time, because you need to know what's going on in Antigua. You need to see how these guys are dealing with people of Antigua and all that. And we just highlight these things and bring them to you. So I'm glad to be here with you. I'm glad that you will be listening to us and all that good stuff. And as my co-host said, we will start off with a campaign so that you know that we are not playing around. We are just ready to go again, because this place needs to be fixed, and we are determined that we are going to fix it.
Yes, Ned. Well, we went out last week. I think it was midweek, because it was sometime I was in court, and I think my matter was adjourned. So we said we're going to spend a few hours out there on the campaign trail. Went out to see some of our supporters for the most part, and what they're really saying is very encouraging. They're just like they don't see any alternative between the major political parties, so they're thinking of something different, and that is why they supported me on election day. And they're just surprised to see that even after the beating that we got on the 21st of March, that we're still committed to doing something positive in the community, in the constituency. So it has been going well. We are planning to go there again really soon. Certain constraints on my part in that I had a lot of cases in the courts, and usually even in the afternoon I would take the time to go on campaign, but usually for some reason right now in my practice I've been having matters later down in the day, 2:30, 3, and it's just been difficult to get out there for this week. But I'm planning to do something between today and the rest of next week to let the people know that we are 100% serious in providing good government, in providing economy, in providing people with hope that feel that Antigua and Barbuda is for a certain sect, a certain class of people, and it's not for all of us. And that is really where we are based with the campaign trail. Nedwell, you have anything to say about the campaign?
No, I was just so, delighted to see how people, were taking us when we came back. As they realized that, look, this is not a situation you took a beating and you just duck on and don't come again. They saw our eagerness to get out there and to meet them again and let them know that it wasn't all lost. You voted your conscience. You know that was the right thing to do. You can stay on this side and look over and see that those people sold their votes. You understand? And that's the big difference between the people who supported us and who supported even the winner, the incumbent government. So, it was so nice meeting those people. It was so good to see the reception that we got from them. And it just encourages you to get back out there and do what you have to do, because you really want to do something for these people. You see how determined they are to see Antigua running on the right path, to see Antigua moving forward and stuff like that. And we are just as determined to make sure that we do that for these people who are supporting us there.
Very much so, Nedwell. Yes. So well said. We're going into the legalization of marijuana, which is going to take up most of our time today. And this is a topic which we believe that we were the ones that came up with a policy in how to legalize it and carry it out so that it can benefit all of Antigua and Barbuda. We wanted to have a legal marijuana industry where it was highly regulated, where all who got a license to harvest, to grow, and to sell the product would have a certificate, a license to sell, to grow. And with that license, you had to pay your taxes into the treasury, your education levy, your social security, and your medical benefit.
That's right.
The Prime Minister said, I believe it was late last year, that they are going to pass legislation to decriminalize marijuana.
Right.
Earlier in this year, before the election, I believe it was a political stunt to really get the electorate, the Rastafarians, who felt that, well, we want to smoke our marijuana or grow it in peace. And that was where they were going to get some votes from that community. So they went ahead and they decriminalized the use of marijuana. And one of the things that the Prime Minister said was that he apologized not for the government's treatment of the Rastafari for over 40-something years, 50-something years. He apologized for the way that the police had treated the Rastafarian community, right? And he said this in an article that is recorded in the Observer newspaper on the 8th of February 2018. Right? And I pulled him up about it. I told him that's a half-assed apology. Because you, as the Prime Minister, need to apologize for your government and previous governments brutalizing this community in Antigua and Barbuda. Because brutalization of Rastafari did not end on the 12th of June 2014. And you know what? Nedwell, we have it on record.
Oh, yes.
We have
That's
it
a
recorded.
great part about it. It's all
What?
recorded.
He said what we responded to in the errors of his apology.
That's
And then just in the last week, the Prime Minister
Sent
issues
it.
a proper apology.
That's
And then you know what? He cogs our policy
That's
in
exactly
not
what he did.
to compensate the Rastafari community who
That's
were
right.
brutalized
Yeah.
by the police,
Yeah.
by the state,
Yeah.
with financial
No.
gains or,
No, it's
or-
not,
or
not
money.
cost. It's not cost
But
consideration anymore.
It appears that it's going the way of what we said, that we
Exactly.
want to give them license. That the 7 tribes of
License.
Rastafari in Antigua,
That's right.
licenses for not only this present generation, but for the ones in the future.
Coming up.
So, back in school days, when somebody asked you to look on your exam sheet,
Pass it over.
that they didn't study the night before because
That's
they were more likely in the situation here. They're dunce. Even if they read and studied,
They still
it
couldn't
wasn't,
grasp.
it wasn't
They
sticking
still
in
couldn't
their,
grasp.
in their head. So they went into the exam dunce
Every time
as the day they were born. So you know what you do? You cog.
you're called.
You ask your friend.
That's
"Hey,
the
Via,
name of it,
Via,
cogging.
show me where your exam, now. Show me how you answer the question, you know? Show me how to mark the question.
Pass
So
it.
they look at your sheet, you turn your exam paper
Okay,
at a 45-degree angle,
Yeah, so they can see.
and then the
Next
mark
thing you know-
all down the line
Oh, you mean?
based on what you did.
That's right. Identical.
I
Identical.
am accusing the Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda,
Yeah.
Gaston Browne, what? The second or the third or the fourth, wherever he
something like-
is. No, it's not too important, wherever he is to me. Of cogging the True Labour Party in particular, my policies are not
the
only
marijuana.
the way we wanted to move forward with the policies to legalize marijuana, but even more so that we were the ones that said that we wanted to give them
Give the
licenses
Rastafarians
to
a
compensate
license. That's
them
right.
for the
That's
years
what
of
we said
brutality.
that. We met with them and
We
told
met with them. We spoke
that's
to
right.
them. And this was the 23rd of June 2017
That's
at the
right.
Botanical Gardens in Antigua and Barbuda. They were celebrating the 100 and whatever birthday of Haile Selassie.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And we met with them and we told them that you need not money at this point in time. You need to get licenses. We don't want to see you on the outside looking in and all the mega men on Market Street
End
are
up
selling
selling
marijuana to the
marijuana.
Rastafari community.
That's right.
You understand?
I
You
remember
need
that.
to be selling to yourself. You're
Yes,
a black man. What is wrong with being black and rich?
That's true.
It seems to me that it's only Syrian and
I
rich
remember.
is allowed in this country. So we were saying, do not be on the outside looking in. Ask them for licenses to harvest, to grow, and license to sell.
That's what
because
we had
you,
planned to give
your
them.
children, your future generations have a right to be wealthy in your country
That's
of
right.
birth. That is what we told them. June of 2017. Nedwell, you were there with me.
Absolutely.
You took the podium also.
Yes.
And I spoke to them under the tent.
Yes, I
Yeah.
remember. That's
And
exactly what we said to them.
It would appear now, just under a year later, the Prime Minister is now singing on the same hymn sheet, singing from the same hymn sheet. But we're going to go into it, Nedwell.
Yeah.
In the Observer, Daily Observer newspaper, the 8th of February 2018, PM apologizes for brutalization of Rastas.
That's right.
And this is where we had the problem. And I'm only going to read you 2 paragraphs or two sentences from this article. And then we're going to play the audio from Mr. Browne later on and
That's
for
right.
what I said, where he
That's
had to
right.
go and correct
That's
himself.
right. That's right.
And it starts off, Prime Minister Gaston Browne has issued an apology to Antigua and Barbuda's Rastafarian community for what he said was the decades of persecution and abuse they suffered at the hands of the police. Browne expressed his regret during Tuesday's parliamentary debate on the Misuse of Drugs Amendment Bill, which seeks to decriminalize up to 15 grams of cannabis for personal use. Now, as you can see, the error he made at this point in time is that he was apologizing to the Rastafarian community for what he said was the decades of persecution and abuse they suffered at the hands of the police. The police are crown agents.
Agents of the crown.
The crown is the one that is liable
They
and
are the ones
responsible
who
for
set
their
the policies.
acts.
That's
You
right.
cannot sue the police in Antigua and Barbuda. You sue the Attorney General, because he sues on behalf of the state and can be sued on behalf of the state. You cannot sue the Commissioner of Police. You cannot sue the individual police officer that brutalized you. So what I said was that was a half-assed apology.
You did say
You
that.
need to apologize to the people as the Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda, the leader of this country, for your government's abuse of their rights and previous governments.
That's true.
Because government is continuous. And that is what we said. That is what I said
mentioned that.
in my interview.
You
So I'm
mentioned
just
that.
setting it up now because we're going to play the audio. Then he went on into the article saying, and this is the part concerning compensation.
Yes.
Because we said we wanted to issue licenses. And this is what he says in the article in the Daily Observer, 8th of February 2018. I want to take this opportunity to apologize to the family members of those individuals for the abuse that would have taken place over the decades. I will go as far as stating that if, having done the research and we're able to make that determination that there are individuals who would have suffered abuse by police officers and they would have suffered harm that would have impacted on their families members, we are willing to provide some form of support for these families, the PM revealed. This is the interesting part.
Yes.
He
this is-
added that he would not make a specific pronouncement on the redress at this time because of cost considerations, meaning that they intended to award them financially, money.
That's right.
But I believe that where it is proven definitively that you would have had individuals who would have been severely damaged or would have actually died as a result of police brutality, I think it's only fair that the government treat with the surviving members of those families and to bring them some form of relief at this
Point. That's right. Finance.
That is what he said.
Yes.
8th of February 2018.
That's right. Finance.
And Nedwell, what do you have to say about that? What do you interpret that to mean?
I interpreted that he heard that what we met with the Rastafari group, and he heard that we said that they should be compensated for the brutality that they got.
Yeah.
But what he probably did not hear is how we intended to compensate them. So he went ahead and he started talking about compensation, whether they've been brutalized or there was a death as a result of the brutalization.
Yeah.
And he intended to compensate them financially because he was talking about the cost constraints.
Yeah, because the government doesn't have any money. Now.
You
That
know,
is what?
that's what cost consideration here.
It couldn't have been,
I
it
take
couldn't have been licenses.
Right? No.
But there's no
That's
law
cost.
there in place.
No, exactly.
Even
in the
today,
first place. That's right.
Even today, there's no law in place to issue any license to the
Exactly.
Rastafi community.
Not at
So
all.
it must have been financial
Had to
coming
be.
from the Treasury,
It had to be.
compensating
It had to
this community for the brutalization and persecution
And,
that they received.
yes, and he could not refer to the license because if it's the license, they will be actually getting money because I'm quite sure when they issue the license, you'll have to pay something to get the license. So it wouldn't be cost constraint on their behalf. So
Right.
it has to be finances coming
has to
out
be
of their
financial.
pocket. Had to be there.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
this is the way I took it, and I see that he took a page out of our manifesto. Took a page
cogged.
out. Well, cogged. I really want Carl of it and kind
Prime
of hold
Minister
it.
Van
But he did
Barbuda
cog. Yeah, he
could not
cog.
come up with a policy
Yeah, on his own.
of legalizing marijuana.
Yeah.
They go decriminalize, and it showed the shortfall and the lack of foresight
Yes.
because they just decriminalized it this year.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah,
before the
just there
election.
before the election, yeah.
And now a month later,
Talking
talking about
about-
legalize. So where is the
What was,
foresight?
why, you understand what I'm saying?
What was necessary for that decriminalization? And now you're
You're
legalizing.
legalizing.
because he's trying to cog somebody else's
Yes.
policies.
He's just watching. He's
the True
looking
Labour Party.
diligently to see how we can take a peek and put
Copy
it in
that,
yeah.
Turn your exam paper at a 45-degree angle so that the Prime Minister and the corrupt Labour Party
That's right.
can see it,
That's right.
cog it, and
That's
go
right.
to Parliament
And
and
try
legislate
implement it.
based on what you said.
But it's a horrible thing, though, when you don't come up with the idea on your own, because lots of parts of that whole process is being neglected, not being done correctly, and all that good stuff. So I can imagine, this whole thing that they're going forward with is not going to be done correctly if it wasn't the idea in the first place.
Yeah.
So lots of things that they're missing out on and all that. And don't be surprised if he has to come and call you and ask you
Give me
for
a call,
few
huh?
pointers.
Gaston, if you
Yeah.
need some assistance, for the love of my country, I will put aside my disgust. No, I
And
don't
give you-
hate you. There's
give-
nothing to hate.
Yeah, give him
People
a
like
few
you aren't
pointers.
supposed to be hated. They're
Yes.
supposed to be pitied. You understand? So I don't hate you. Just give me a call, and
Yeah,
I'll be able to
pointers,
hold my
man.
nose from just the stench of having a conversation with you for the good of my country, and I'll be able to hold your hand and guide you on what needs to be done.
Yeah, it's
To
necessary.
legalize marijuana, to have a policy
to benefit
in place, to benefit
Antigua
Antigua and Barbuda as a whole. And when I say Antigua and Barbuda, it's not that I don't love the Syrians or the foreigners
Oh, no,
overall.
no.
You know what?
I
I
love me
love
first.
Antigua and
I
born
love me
Antiguans
first.
more.
I love me first.
I love you all foreigners. I love you all Migo men.
Oh,
I
you
love
mean.
you so much that it hurts.
But indigenous, I
But-
love you the most.
But
Yeah.
I love my Antigua and born people the most.
Yes, you
That
have
is
to.
the
Oh,
reality.
you mean, that's
And
what
I'm
we
not
came up
ashamed
with.
to admit it. Who don't like it, don't vote for me
That's
on
all it
election
is.
day.
That's all
But
it
I'm not
is,
going to
man.
change. Period.
Antigua
So anyway,
is who we defend.
well, let us not let people say, oh, you're lying on the Prime Minister. He came up with the idea. He was the one with his great foresight and intellectual capacity that came up with the idea.
That's
Let
one
us
thing.
go to the tapes.
That's one thing with technology, yeah.
Let us just go to the tapes.
Yeah, it doesn't fool you.
All right.
That's
This
right.
is an interview that I gave on Voice of. No, it was Connecting with Dave Lester Payne. That was 2 in the afternoon on the 12th of February. No, he made his statement on the 8th of February.
Yeah, and you were
4 days later, I made my statement on Voice Connecting with Dave Lester Payne on the 12th. So listen to what I had to say concerning what the Prime Minister had said in this press release and his apology, his first apologies to the Rastafarian community. Take a listen. No, there's another part where the Prime Minister apologized to the Rastafarian community and said he apologized for the way the police treated them. A police officer is an agent of the Crown. The police are not operating out there when they're beating and pushing in doors and brutalizing people. That is on the authority of the Crown. If the Crown did not support that act, then how many police officers have been behind bars for malicious damage, malicious prosecution, false imprisonment? The Prime Minister ought to have apologized for his government because on the 12th of June, beating up of Rastamen and people smoking drugs and the stigma attached to it did not come to an end. The 12th of June 2004 did not see an end to it. So when he's saying he's apologizing for the treatment by the police officers who are just an agent of the Crown, it ought to be the Crown that ought to apologize to the Rastafarian community. What he did was a half-ass apology. It's half-ass. He needs to apologize for his administration and previous administrations, the way they brutalized these people for smoking a plant. That is the way I see it. If I were a Rastaman or I was one he was trying to apologize for too, I wouldn't accept that apology. But everybody is different.
You're not a Rasta.
I'm not a Rasta yet.
Right. Yeah. Oh, Via boy, I tell you, you're around the corner for it. So when you look at the budget in Antigua and Barbuda, because
I just want to add one thing. Our policy, in our manifesto policy, the Prime Minister did go on to say that they're going to think of ways to compensate the Rastafarian community for the years of brutality. Our policy in the True Labour Party is not to give them financial money up front. Take $2 million, $3 million, $10 million. And I've spoken to the Rastafarian community. I'm good with them boys, I meet up with ICOP and Sagaifu and so on occasion.
Sagaifu is going to be here tomorrow. I'm going to tell you to tell me about you.
Yeah, I'm supposed to meet them on Saturday and all.
Oh, you're meeting
King George. Yeah, we have been in contact. I told you. No.
Is where Ben down?
No, not bend down this time. Down at King George V grounds.
Okay, yeah.
Right? What we wanted to say also is that we wanted to compensate the Rastafarians. We're giving them a license. When marijuana is legalized in Antigua and Barbuda, I believe the 7 tribes in Antigua and Barbuda should be given a license to grow and to sell marijuana. It's a situation where I believe instead of just giving them cold hard cash, will finish in a period of time. They have a market.
Somebody had promised them cold hard cash?
I believe that is where they're going with the compensate.
Oh, that's your belief.
Right.
Okay.
But what I am saying is that we're not giving them cash. We want them to have a license. We want to give them something that is generational, that is not just going to benefit this group of Rastafarians that are alive today, but future generations can be a part of the industry. A legal industry that can provide a lot of money to a community that has been pretty much on the fringes of society. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, that is what I said in response to his initial apology, which was not sufficient to the Rastafarian community. Then, in an effort to guide people on policy and what ought to be done, we mentioned Antigua is a poor country, especially after the hurricane last year. Finances are tight. And it would be better for the Rastafarian community overall to have licenses so that not only this generation can benefit from the harvesting marijuana and selling marijuana, but future generations. You empower your future generations to have something to keep them wealthy. Mm-hmm. It's not a matter of getting $10 million and you're gradually depleting that over the years or even in months. Some people can burn $1 million in a couple of weeks, you know.
Oh, yeah.
So that is what we are saying. Mm-hmm. And then what we heard is the Prime Minister cogged my statement from Unconnected with Dave Rastafi in under 2 months' time. That was February.
Yeah,
by April, he's basically saying the same thing.
Month and a half. Yeah.
Then do you want to say anything at that point?
Well, it's sort of pathetic to see how these guys go about doing their things. They're not humble at all. He should always refer back, and your name should be mentioned when he comes up with these things. He should actually be saying something like, thanks to Veer Bird, he suggested.
I'm the True Labour Party.
I'm the True Labour Party.
I would not be making that statement on my own. That was as the chairman of the True Labour Party. And we did discuss this as policy amongst the whole executive, which you are part of.
That's right.
You understand?
And that should be actually said. But these guys are not humble at all. They just go out there and behave like they're it, and that's not the right way of doing things. But
so he's claimed it as his.
Yeah, he's claiming that as his. But you see, it's also annoying and pathetic too that we in 2014 we went out there while we were campaigning, and these are the things that the people were saying. You sound good. Mm-hmm. You sound real good, but how can? No way, because UPP got to go. Mm-hmm. And that was far from government. That was nonsense.
Government.
You're not voting for the government. You're voting for an individual who think you have a plan. If you think that individual has a plan, that's the person that you're going to vote for and say, look, I feel confident that he can represent me well in Parliament on any issue.
Me, my family, my community, my neighbors,
you know what I'm saying?
Constituency.
You are telling me now that because we don't have X amount of people in our party, no matter how you sound, that you will not. And look at this, it comes right back
to you now.
Hit you in the face. The things we were saying.
People ran on the Labour Party ticket. None of them could come up with a plan, policy, or procedure to legalize marijuana.
Yeah.
So the man that came up with the policy has been thoroughly rejected at the polls. We're going to have to use his idea because either the policy to have $200 million a year in our economy, pump $200 million US into our economy over a 10-year period, has failed. The CIP program we started off really hot. They have
gone down the path where they have ruined our name into our passports, our access to Canada. They have ruined our access to foreign countries. And it looks like it's a whole corrupt practice, the CIP program. So it is a failure. It doesn't bring in the sort of money that it used to bring in. And in addition to that, the Prime Minister's own pet project, the 500 houses in 500 days, where we don't know. They still must be stuck on 49.
But but you say that. But that's
absolute failure.
That was the cornerstone.
The cornerstone of the corrupt Labour Party's
when you
administration.
can't even fulfill your cornerstone promise,
Yeah.
what else can you do here?
Yeah.
The whole thing is falling apart, and the people still decided to vote them back in
They're
and
safer
give them another
with
term.
Labour.
I just can't believe this.
We have to hold the politicians to a higher standard.
We have
But
to.
in addition
It's
to that,
necessary.
Nedwell, the true Labour Party, unlike all other political organizations, we will be holding the electorate
to a higher standard, of course.
You are not a child. You are
know.
18 years of age before you can vote, register
that's
to
right.
vote.
That's right.
You must be held accountable for your actions.
That's right.
No, we're not going to put word on you. We're not going to attack you.
No,
We're
it's
not
none
going
of
to
that
curse at you.
stuff.
But when you talk
you know
about
that you-
hurricane season comes in
You're
around the 2 months'
responsible for
time,
what happened.
you are responsible for what happened.
Responsible
Because
for
you know
what
what you
happened.
said? You're
Safer
safer
with Labour.
With Labour.
You did say
Anyway,
that.
let's move on. Nedwell,
They did say
let
that.
us play the clip now where the Prime Minister now realize what he has done is wrong.
That's right. The way he was
apologized as the leader of Antigua and
That's
Barbuda
right.
for the mutilation of the Rastafari and said that he apologizes for the police.
Instead
Listen
of
to me on Dave Lester Payne
That's right.
and corrects himself, but then adds in. It now appears that we're going to be able to compensate the Rastafari from the proceeds of the legal marijuana
That's right.
industry.
Yeah.
Now, listen, this was an interview that I gave on Connecting with Dave Lester Payne. That was what I played, right? I
Yeah,
played that.
you played that
That
one
was on the
already.
12th of February. So now
Right,
I'm going to
this
play
is the
what
one, the
Prime
17th
Minister
of
said.
April.
And this was sometime early in the
17th, I
week.
think.
17th of April.
Yeah.
Listen to what the Prime Minister has to say now in regards to his apology and the legalization of marijuana.
Hi, this is Gaston Browne, Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda. The prohibition of cannabis less than 100 years ago was prompted not by altruistic motives or concern for the health or well-being of users, but to serve the racist, political, and economic interests of the global powers at that time. In the Caribbean, the Rastafari community has championed the many uses of cannabis and have asserted that the herb is utilized as a sacrament in their rituals, in their celebrations and worship. The prohibition and demonization have led to Rastafari being brutalized and castigated by police and other government authorities because of their utilization of the plant cannabis sativa. It is in this context, and now that my government has liberalized the legislation regarding cannabis and is moving towards the medicinal and other uses of this natural substance, that I have issued a genuine apology to the Rastafarian community and have asserted that Rastafari sacramental or spiritual use be acknowledged and that Rastafari be given a stake in the production and benefits to be derived from the medicinal and other uses going forward. Let us regard this as reparations for Rastafari for the wrongs inflicted on this significant minority group in our countries through the so-called war on drugs, which evidently was prompted by pernicious prohibition. Bless up.
Medicinal. There's no word in the English language.
Yeah, the medicinal.
Gaston,
Yeah,
I don't
good
want
like
to
that.
mash your con too much,
Yeah,
but
good like that.
before you go and give a press release, please learn how to pronounce the word. There's no word in the English language called medicinal.
It's
It's
medicinal.
medicinal. Okay?
Yes.
Medicinal. Okay? If you don't know and you can't get it straight, don't bother to trouble Maria. She's studying to be a lawyer and has her hands full in her ministry. Call me. I will hold my nose just to relieve myself of the stench of your call and be able to assist you in how to pronounce the word medicinal. No, we think of that.
Oh man,
We think of that press release.
Is he deliberate or what? I don't know. Maybe he deliberately did that. He knows better, man. He has to know better. Yeah, you can just see that he doesn't actually know what path he's going down. Now, he's treading that path quite carefully. You know, he looking and he's watching, he's hearing what others are saying, you know. Gaston was never one of those guys that, you know, involved in hanging out with the Rastamen and stuff like that. He was into something.
He was fighting their cause now.
None of that stuff.
He's a great freedom fighter for the Rastafari.
Understand? So he wasn't thinking in that direction in the first place.
Yeah.
But then after hearing that, look, you know, and the Rastamen, and you went on Dave's show and talking about...
We went to meet them before we even tell them what we were going to do.
Yeah, but that's what you went on Dave's show and said. When he heard that
when
you
he
met...
heard that, no.
You met the guys? You say you met the
jump out in bed
guys.
late at night. Me and Steve
Yeah.
where you going?
Yeah.
I'm going to visit the Rastafari
Yeah, we're going to
community
meet the
right now.
Rastafari. You know what I'm saying?
I have to block fear.
Up there.
I have to put the cold towel on that.
That's right. But we didn't only meet them up at the Botanical Gardens. No, we went down at King George. We sat with them at King George.
At least 3 times.
That's
we've
right.
been down
We
there.
sat
We've
with
been in
them
contact with them
and spoke with these guys.
And email and so on.
Let them know our intentions. We let them know the best path for them, what is the best policy in terms of them, you know, having
the
their
friendly society to capitalize
of course,
on
you did.
legalization
You
of
advised
marijuana.
them. You gave them some legal advice.
You remember that well?
Yes,
I
you
told
did.
them, I think the last time, even up at the Botanic Garden, legalization of marijuana is not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
Yes, you did say that.
But do not
Be left
be on the outside looking in on Market Street.
That's right.
You see a pile of meager man from Papa Bird bus
At this street.
all the way up to police station.
I sell
the marijuana
And
you
you buy.
have to buy from them.
Yeah, bye.
Right?
You did.
I am a black man just like them.
Yes, you told them
They
that.
deserve to be wealthy for
That's right,
all the
just like that.
brutalization. They were doing that and hiding that on the bed and hiding that on the flower pot.
Yeah.
Right?
How you mean?
And being brutalized
Right.
and being thrown off the top of police vehicles, hands shackled behind the back.
Locks
They
been
put
pulled
their
out
face
of
down
here.
in the toilet.
Yeah.
Pull out locks out of their head.
Yeah, things like
Slap,
that happened. When I
kicked.
came home first, these things was happening.
Punched
Yeah,
for no
all
reason.
kind of
But they smoked the
brutalization.
plant. Right? So what we're saying, let's get back to the issue.
Yeah.
Is that he, as they say, he's some great tactician, strategist,
Yeah,
and all in all. So he's employing his strategies to counter True Labour Party's infiltration of the Rastafari community. So you have to throw on cold towel upon that. And what we're hearing, his strategy is basically to cog our ideas and make them his own.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Mr.
Behave
Brown.
like he came up with that.
Because you legalize marijuana doesn't mean that the next day you can have sufficient produce to sell in Antigua and Barbuda or even to
Oh, there are
export.
many things that
You need to speak to the stakeholders,
Oh yes.
the farmers. You need to speak to the doctors. You need to speak to the Rastafarian community on how are we going to set aside land for people who want to grow marijuana. But in addition to that, we still have to produce our crops to feed the country.
That's right.
All of us cannot be selling marijuana.
No.
We can't live on marijuana
Not at
alone.
all. Food.
This needs to be discussed. All of this
Yes.
should have been done before you even said you legalize marijuana.
Announcement been made.
Right.
It should have been done.
That should have been done.
Yeah.
In addition to that, you might have all the licenses in place and all the land in place and all the machinery to grow these big bumper crop of marijuana to make millions and trillions of dollars.
No water.
But, Prime Minister,
No water.
since you got into office on the 12th of June,
No water.
2014, you have made no attempts to increase the storage
water
of
storage.
water
That's
in
true.
Antigua and Barbuda. Whether it's to renovate our catchment system, to fix the leaking Potworks Dam, which I mentioned on that same interview with Dave Lester Payne. We said we wanted to put the plastic, since the
That's
ponds
right,
and
and
so on
seal,
were drying
to
out
seal.
and the dams, we would want to place plastic at the bottom. So when the
seal it.
rains come, it will be able to save that water.
That's right.
So all those farmers now who want to get licensed and to be millionaires with growing marijuana, they will have the necessary
That's right.
water supply
Yeah.
to grow their crop. As the Prime Minister talked about catchment system, and improving it
And build
saving
another.
water storage. Because what I remember about 2 years ago is that APU said that all our water supply is no longer from catchment. It is from reverse osmosis plants.
Yes, I remember them saying
We
that.
don't have water coming from ponds
No,
like back
none
in the
of
day.
that
We used to
stuff.
get the
No.
majority and go down by the pond and take up your water and you
that-
boil that
that's right.
and drink
That-
that. And
we tell you
the
parts
people-
is-
that's not done in any
No,
great
no,
amounts
no.
anymore.
No.
In addition to that, they don't have Patchwork Dam filled, even though we had that large hurricanes last year, which didn't hit us directly, but we had sufficient amount of
there's a
rain
lot of
where
rain that came.
That dam
should have been
full.
That's right.
It doesn't fill anymore. Whatever fissures, whatever crafts rips in it, it is
It's
leaking.
leaking out. Yeah.
The Israelis, as I said on that same program with Dave Lester Payne, had the means to the special plastic, and they've offered it over 20 years ago for us to.
Seal
That's a
off.
goodwill gesture.
Yeah.
That's what their expertise is, because they come from a desert area to store water.
That's right. That's what a better
The government
place.
never took them up
No,
on it.
man. No,
So
man.
my question is, since you're going to legalize marijuana and you want there to actually be a crop, one of the first things you need to do is make certain that there is a
enough
proper
Water for
water
irrigation.
storage
For irrigation
system in
purposes.
place,
That's
that there's a proper reservoir system in place to store our water.
That's right.
Because Antigua and the Caribbean is still going through a drought officially. So, Prime Minister,
Constantly.
you can cog all you want. It's not about just saying my idea. There was a lot to what we didn't say also. There's a lot more to it
Oh, yes,
that we
there's
had
a
to
lot
do
of things that we
in
didn't
order
say.
to get to having a harvest of marijuana in any
That's
large
right.
amounts.
That's right. That's right.
You understand? Nedwell, you take it from there, man. You say something.
You know, it's so well said, really. You know, this thing is not no haphazard business, really. This thing has to be thought out. You have to think this thing out and look at all the pros and cons and look at all the necessities, the things that you're going to need in order to make this thing work. And as you pointed out before you even mention it to the general public, all these things should be researched to think about, you know, all the thoughts put into it and all that. But this is not done so by the Prime Minister, you notice. And this is why it appears as if he's just trying to look political mileage out of this whole situation. I'm not even going to accuse him of doing that, but it appears that way because of the way how they go about doing it. They're not even, they'll say, look, let's just sit down and get this whole thing put together correctly. And then after they figure, well, this is the final product, you come out and tell the people, well, look, we are going to do this. You cannot be coming out and telling people, look, well, this is what we're going to do. We're going to legalize marijuana, but half of the things that you need to put in place, 3/4 of the things you need to put in place.
land.
That is not put in place.
Leasing land from the
The
public
whole,
and lease
that
land
whole
from the
thing
government.
need to be all, you know, set aside and
You
talked
have to have
about. and
consultations.
You must talk
what
about this
I
stuff.
would like to know, he hasn't even spoken to the opposition.
You see, understand
If
what
this
I'm
is a
saying?
national policy and you are saying you have such foresight now because you're the one before anybody else that is not only in the Caribbean, that is not only talking about decriminalizing, you gonna push ahead with our ideas which are over 4 years old from on our side to go and legalize it now. But you haven't spoke to the main opposition, the minor opposition, the true labor opposition,
No,
the
nobody,
DNA
not
opposition,
talking about
the
it.
Go Green. Have a conference and said we are thinking about moving forward legalization.
Anybody have
Whoever
any
gets in
input?
there, we want to have political unity
Yes.
on the issue.
So if you
because
have an
our
input,
economy is not
come and put it
improving.
in.
We have
That's
suffered 2 hurricanes last year, which devastated Barbuda, and financially we are
Yeah,
at
really
its
restrained
end.
with it. That's
Let
right.
us come up with a new industry so that we can aid our citizens finding work and providing a product that we will benefit. The Treasury will receive taxes from this industry. That is how it's done, Prime Minister.
Yeah. If you look, you see, this is why I like technology and over here.
Yeah.
Because if you look back at my Facebook pages, my profile Facebook, 2011, from since then I've been talking about getting taxes from this marijuana industry
product.
rather than burning up this product and all this stuff. They're spending money to destroy the product when they could be making money from the product.
Yeah.
And this is something I said since 2011.
But they decriminalized it just in what, February, just before the election.
That's right. Just
And
a
as I
couple months.
mentioned on the program, the illegal trade in marijuana, because it's only decriminalized if you use it.
That's
the
right.
person who is selling to you, it's still criminal.
That's
but
the
they're
bad.
not paying taxes.
No taxes, so they
So
don't
one
make
of the
no money from it.
largest industries in Antigua is not
No,
paying tax.
no
the drug
taxes.
dealer is not paying education level,
Scotch-free.
medical benefits.
He just walked free with all the cash.
He takes the full thing. He took the risk,
All,
so he gets
all. Yeah,
the
winner
reward.
takes it all. He took it
The
all.
winner took it all.
Yeah. So
That is the sad reality.
But that's not a policy there. That is not a policy. If you're coming up with a policy, you have to have some form of income coming into the government, coming into the country, saying, well, this is what Antigua is getting out of it.
Yeah.
You know, you just, I mean, then what's the purpose? There is no purpose at all. You have to have a policy and saying, well, look, this is how it's going to work. And right now, I don't even want to go into details. I'm so scared to go into details because you know what's going to happen. They just take it and run with it.
I know when I get on the radio for my training in government and politics, and I go on there, genuinely believe what I'm saying is what is best for not only myself but my country. I don't get on the radio, I don't get on this podcast to talk foolishness.
Yes, right.
Right?
That's right.
So I know our policies are sound.
That's sound policies.
And obviously, the Prime Minister is of the same opinion.
That's right. So
Because this is not the first time they've cogged our ideas.
That's so true.
They are talking also about light industry also.
Of course.
Right?
That's something that we pushed and talked about. People say, boy, you sound real good, man. I sound good.
If marijuana is an industry,
Uh-huh.
isn't it going to require more energy?
Of course.
The more production is the more money it's going to cost you electrically.
That's right.
You're going to have to be paying higher bills.
That's
So
so
you're going to be using more. Can our generators handle the increase in this industry? That is why even our 2014 manifesto, the first thing we mentioned was about rectifying the Wadade power plant scandal. Either they give us our money back and we go and buy new generators,
That's right.
or we tell them thank you, but we need to go elsewhere.
That's right.
That is one of the things that we said, because if we're going into light industry, the need for affordable, not
Energy.
cheap, no,
Affordable
not free,
energy.
affordable energy supply,
is necessary.
affordable and reliable. You can't
That's
be
right.
on and off.
No.
You're trying to have a man and them and roll them in the thing and package them in the thing and have all the
Next thing you
machines
know,
working
they'll
and
come
next
after
thing
you.
Car go
Bop.
off, and I tell you what, go get a generator.
That's right. Yeah.
So these are the things that they never took into account.
No,
I remember
as I
there's a
said.
man by the name of Enoch Powell in the United Kingdom. He was a politician in the Conservative Party in late 60s, early 70s, and he was running to be the leader of the country. I think he went up against Sir Edward Heath.
Oh, okay.
And Edward Heath beat him out. But he was one of the greatest minds that England, United Kingdom ever produced. Enoch Powell was a PhD at Oxford at the age of 25.
Wow.
One of the youngest PhDs in that country at the top university in the land.
That's right. So, you know,
Right?
yeah.
But he went off, he wanted to recolonize India, and he was the one that was talking about blood is going to run in the streets and all that stuff with the West Indians immigrating to the United Kingdom.
Yeah.
Right? But after he lost against Heath and never became the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, Margaret Thatcher took over the country in the late 70s, early 80s, and she pursued his policy of deregulation and lowering the taxes. Because remember, England is one of the most highly taxed economies.
Yeah.
They are taxing people so much that
Left
a lot
and
of them,
right.
the Beatles, the Rolling Stones,
Left,
used
right,
to
and
live
center.
outside of the United Kingdom to hold on to their money. Right? So Margaret Thatcher started the policy of reducing taxes, and she messed up the NHS, National Healthcare Service, because it was taking too much money. So she became like the rugged capitalist, like Ronald Reagan.
Yeah, that's right.
Right? So what
The
she did,
lioness.
she gave credit to Enoch Powell, because he was the one that actually had the policy in place
right.
before her.
That's the correct thing
So
to do.
Enoch Powell was like a Weber the third
That's
today,
right.
and Margaret Thatcher was the Gaston Browne.
That's right.
Right?
That's
So after Margaret Thatcher got into office, she did all these changes to the economy and so on. And the economy looked like it was doing all right or better before. People said coming back to the country because there are less taxes.
Okay.
And they asked Enoch Powell, what do you think of Margaret Thatcher copying your policy? Not cogging. That's all, Jeremy.
It's a
Copying your policy. You know what he said? Not any good. She never even understood where I was going with it.
Ah, yes, that's right. That's right. You see,
She didn't understand what the policy was and where we were really going.
No, it's not her idea,
what
so
she
she
did
not
was
going
even
know.
half as good as it could have been.
That's right.
You understand?
Not
So
her
that's why I
idea.
said that long wind-up story to tell you at the end. Mr. Browne doesn't even understand where you're going with it. It's far above his pay grade.
That's
It's
right.
far above his intellectual capacity. It's far above his moral and ethical standard. Because you know, Mr. Browne, he want to covet some of this now.
Of course.
This whole marijuana industry, land and so on.
Of course.
He wants some of that.
Enrich yourself. He need to enrich himself. That's what he telling himself. He's enrich myself here. This is a good way of doing it. Yeah, maybe part of this whole thing. So I know that. But unless you come up with the idea, you're not going to have all the little fine tunes of what it's going to take and all that. You understand? You're going to miss out on a whole lot of things. And this is exactly what's going on with this whole marijuana thing. This is not even, this thing could be a one-time business. Even for recreational purposes. You just totally, you understand? And not to decriminalize it, but you legalize it straight across the board. And this is what they should have done, and then just work within that cycle. And this is where you're going to get your tax money. Because then you're going to...
At the end of the day, what I always say,
Yeah.
you should have met with everybody concerned, all the stakeholders,
That's right.
opposition,
And get the ideas.
ask their opinion.
Yes, get ideas. Yes, you need to get the ideas from all the stakeholders. And this is what I'm saying. He doesn't have the faintest idea of how this thing is going to work. He's just listening here and he's listening there and all that. No, he needs to meet with these people, get all the facts, get all the data on these things, and decide how the best way of going forward. Not that just you just listen and you don't want nobody to know you're listening, so you're not even listening keenly. You're listening on a sly, and then you behave as if it's your thing. This thing is, it's not right. It's not being done correctly. He needs to sit down with the people that knows what they're dealing with, and we get all the facts, get ideas, and then know what it's going to take, and all that good stuff. And he has no intentions of doing that, it seems as, seems as if he's going for. As I said, this thing could be a one-time process. You just totally, legalize the product, and then you go about setting up your taxes here and the distribution there and all that good stuff, and then you will have a better idea of what you're doing. But it's not like that there. You see, they're going about, they're behaving like if they come up with the idea they want. This is not to get political mileage there. This is to get some finances into the country. And this is a great way of doing it. That's right. Look, you have other places now are embarking on tourism marijuana, where tourists just travel to that particular country. I remember Amsterdam, when tourists used to just go over to Amsterdam to get what they want. You understand? And all that good stuff. So that's a way of that tourism can pull in some extra dollars and some big dollars as well. Because it's amazing how many people around this world that smoke marijuana and that will travel to go and get a taste of a good, what they will call it, sensimania into their head and all that good stuff. So this is something that we should actually be thinking about more seriously. We shouldn't even just half-ass be doing this thing, because if we do it that way, we are not going to benefit the way that we should benefit there. We spoke about that we will grow the marijuana. We have a syndicate place or something like that. Well, it's almost like how the sugarcane used to run in over here.
Yeah.
You plant your marijuana, you know you're going to get it sold. You know there's some place there that's going to take it off of your hands. So there you have the people, you go, you get your money same time, you work out the taxes, everything is being done right there, and then you go right back and you plant again. And all that, and it's just a continuous process. And this is where the tax money is going to come in. In this case, I would really like, maybe you can tell me where the tax money is going to come from, because I don't see it. Talking about medical marijuana, how much marijuana is going to be grown for medical purposes? Are you going to export the product? Did you think about that? All that it needs to be thought out. And that's something that is not happening. This is something that is just haphazard, and you come up with this, and then somebody criticize this, you come up. One of the things that I noticed too, that a lot of this thing on Antigua is being run on the radio, that people, you say something, and then somebody go on one of them call shows and say something, and then you go back and then you revise what you said, and you change. This is not, you are supposed to be more serious, and you're supposed to be more detailed in what you're dealing with, that you know for sure when I put it out there, this is something that I can stand behind. You don't have to go and change and change and change. And this is what's happening. The change is in, and you listen to somebody else and then you change it again. No. You are supposed to listen to the particular groups that have a stake in this, all the stakeholders, and then, let them know your intentions. You ask for some sort of input if you have any, and you take it from there. And this is where it's going to work. Different than that, it's not going to work there. It's going to be done all half-assed, and this is what's happening right now. I understand that they say that they're bringing in the Canadians in order to assist them with the this is not even necessary. All it takes is some research. We have enough manpower around here. We have enough brain power around here in order to get this thing done correctly. If you do the research and have all that it takes in order to get it to going, and then you have the different persons who will fill in the areas of what you have research there. So when I hear them talking about bringing in outsiders, we say, look how they look at Antiguans, as if we don't even know what we are doing.
Yeah.
This is exactly what they're doing. They look at us as if we can't handle the situation.
We're incompetent.
No, we're totally incompetent, of course, and we're not. This thing, look at Rastafi. I've seen some marijuana grown in Antigua that will rival any marijuana that I see have been imported into the country there. I've seen some real hard, almost like stone. We said, this is marijuana? Yes, this is marijuana. So, boy, let me get out here, boy. I didn't really know. Yes, yeah. And then, I've seen some good stuff, man. I've seen some real good stuff. Some like what you were seeing in the magazine.
Yeah.
The Good Times magazine and stuff like that. I've seen some of that going in Antigua. And then it's the ordinary man that do that. An indigenous Antigua that went out there and do that stuff. So to tell me that you're going to have to bring in an outsider, but they like that. They like the outsiders.
It's insecurity.
Yeah, it is. And the outsiders are holding all the big positions and all that, and there's still this last going on that you're going to need to pull the country out of a hole. You're still going to bring in some more outsiders. Where the Antiguans, where the indigenous are going to benefit? When? Where and when?
That's
I have
so true.
no idea where.
I have no idea what they're talking about.
No idea, because not even this, that we are tilling the soil to get it done, that you believe that Antiguans can do it on their own. Yeah, no, this is not right, man. This is not done. So all them little apologies and all them things, and try to get some political mileage because you want the Rastaman now to favor you and say, well, look at Gaston do this and Gaston. We want the Rastamen them already knew, because we met with them long time while he was saying that they're walking around like zombies.
That
you remember that?
Said before the 2004
I
election.
remember how you mean.
They can't legalize marijuana.
No, for
you
heaven,
don't need any more zombies around the place. You don't
That's
need any
right.
more zombies.
He said that.
But no, the brother man
all of a
act
sudden,
like he championed the cause and the racist and the pernicious this and all them big words they use.
Tell you end up tell you bless up.
Yeah, bless up.
up.
Bless up, man.
Yeah,
me a Rasta man. Me a Rasta man. Me eyes a Rasta man.
Hey, look. Hypocrisy is a hell of a thing, boy. I tell you.
Boy. Yeah, you see a way for capitalize
that's all it is.
and jump in the center of the fight.
He is.
And now he wants to be labeled as the one that is fighting the colonial racist powers that brutalize the majority of the black man.
You heard his statement. The statement. It wasn't done because of medical. Nothing. It was done by a racist.
Could you put out a medicinal? What he say? How he said it?
Medicinal.
No, that sound even too good.
That was too
You really broke him up, boy. You really broke up the grammature with that one, boy. You sound like Dalso.
Oh, man. I realize that this is just something else. But I wish him well.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, in the interest of Antigua, I wish him well. We really need the finance. As you can see, the CIP are just gone to nothing. And we need something that can pull the country out of a hole. We told the people in 2014 that we intended to pay off the national debt.
Yeah, that's
with
what we
this
want to do.
with the marijuana industry.
The revenue from the marijuana
The revenue
industry.
from that marijuana industry
Had
is
that
going to
have
pay
been
off.
done,
Yes,
and that
yeah.
this country would not have had a problem rebuilding Barbuda.
No way.
This probably would have been out the red. All the billions
how
of
you
dollars
mean?
in corruption,
How
with
you
car
mean?
park,
How you
with
mean?
Dadley power plant, with fencing scandal, and all the money that they wasted with the sidewalk, the
I know.
roads,
Eh.
all
Eh.
of that. We have left
tell
that
you,
now
man.
to a future generation to deal with.
Yeah.
Instead of us legalizing with a highly regulated marijuana industry
That's right.
4 years ago.
Yep.
Because June is nearly on us, right?
That's right, yeah.
That would have been 4 years.
years
12th
in
of June
June.
would have been
Yeah,
4
4
years. We could have moved on with a
Imagine
legal
what money we'd have
marijuana
already made.
industry.
That's right.
We cannot compete with the larger islands to outproduce them.
Not at
We
all.
have to
The land mass
produce
isn't there.
A fine, high-grade
Finer product.
We get in there
Finer
early.
product.
We hold on to the market,
That's
the
right.
percentage of the market that know our product. We have the years of dealing
In
with
agreement.
them, and the product has a good reputation
That's right.
established before anybody
And
else.
that's-
When Jamaica, when Trinidad, where Dominica, and nearly every other island is big enough as of St.
That's
Kitts,
right. That's right. You know. Yeah.
When they get
Have a
in it,
bigger land mass.
if
yeah.
you think you're going in there now and going to take up all the market, they're going to soon announce their legalization.
Of course.
And your dog dead.
Oh, you mean because
So,
they can produce more than you?
They can outproduce
But you see, really, that fine product is what it's going to take to enhance the tourism marijuana.
Yeah, yeah.
Because if a tourist is going to travel to go and enjoy a taste of the good,
taste of the good
he's
stuff.
going to want to find
The best of the best.
That's right, the
Yeah.
finest stuff.
You know,
So
you want to go to Antigua to go smoke a spranger.
Yeah, and no, man.
Hey, Nelly,
No, man.
Nelly,
Some
you can go on
bushweed
and
or
on now. We're
something.
already over an hour. The time is up.
Well, tell me about this thing, just
We
to get
have
seat. Just to
end
get
the
seat.
program now.
Yes, yes,
the
we
way
have to.
forward, I believe,
Wow.
is for the Prime Minister and those in power. You were recently elected with an overwhelming landslide majority.
Yeah.
You need to not only push your pen around and dictate to people or tell them what you're going to do.
Need to
you
listen.
need to listen
Got to
to
listen.
Antigans. You need to listen to the stakeholders. You need to listen to your opposition. You need to call a meeting, and that is where you hold a conference.
That's right.
Because you are strong.
That's
you
right.
don't hold conferences when you're weak.
No,
And
no.
when UPP only got one member in parliament, PPM had one member, True Labour had none. DNA
That's
with
right.
all the what? 13 or 14. Nobody
Not
win.
a one. Not
And then
one.
watch Joanne, Messiah King, just like Awi. You are in a position of strength, Prime
Oh,
Minister.
yes.
This is when you sit down and you smoke a peace pipe, some of that fine Antigua black marijuana with your political opponents
No.
and come up with a plan
He's not going to be
to
no zombie.
capitalize on this product
That's
and
right.
getting it. Have a conference to unite Antiguans and Barbudans about the policy to go forward with legalizing marijuana, because that could raise the standard of living in Antigua and Barbuda and pay off our
That's
international,
should.
regional, and local debts,
Should.
and that would be a boon for future generations.
That's so true.
We want to be considered on the same level as Singapore, financially, lifestyle, and material wealth.
yes, that's a
as
model.
Singapore,
That's a
as
model
Monaco.
too,
That was the plan that I heard from my grandfather.
Yeah.
You're comparing us to any other island in the Caribbean. It's not good enough.
Yeah.
So we're going to end at that note, and with the grace of God, we'll be back next week. And all those haters who thought the True Labour Party was dead, defunct, no longer in operational,
No way.
decapitated,
No.
neutralized,
No.
neutered,
No way.
castrated, go ahead. Continue to think that way. We'll be back next week. Take care. Bye for now.
A buzzard took a monkey for a ride in the air. The monkey thought that everything was on the square. The buzzard tried to throw the monkey off of his back, but the monkey grabbed his neck and said, "Now listen, Jack, Straighten up and fly right. Straighten up and fly right. Straighten up and fly right. Cool down, Papa, don't you blow your top. Ain't no use in diving. What's the use of diving? Straighten up and fly right. Cool down, Papa, don't you blow your top. The buzzer told the monkey, you are choking me. Release your hold and I will set you free. The monkey looked the buzzer right dead in the eye and said, your story's so touching, it sounds just like a lie. Straighten up and fly right. Straighten up and stay right. Straighten up and fly right. Cool down, Papa, don't you blow your top. Bree, bree, doo, bree, bree, doo, da 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 da. The buzzer told the monkey, you are choking me. Release your hold and I will set you free. The monkey looked the buzzer right dead in the eye and said, your story's so touching, it sounds just like a lie. Straighten up and fly right. Straighten up and stay right. Straighten up and fly right. Cool down, Papa, don't you blow your top. Straighten up and fly right. Straighten up and stay right. Straighten up and fly right. Cool down, Papa, don't you blow your top.